All right, before we move forward, I want to just take a minute to appreciate what the 49ers have not accomplished under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. I mean, we're entering year 10 and we're still talking about what they might do eventually. And like they're Andy Reid, and maybe Andy Reid did this too. But in some bizarro world, the 49ers have a dynasty, multiple championships, and the Chiefs don't. The 49ers did create a dynasty in Kansas City. And they might create one in freaking Seattle, depending on what they do with Sam Darnold. So let's go back and really dissect how the 49ers whiffed on a post-Eddie D dynasty. You hire Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. It's a pretty good hire. They get the second pick in the draft, and they don't take Patrick Mahomes. That's rough. Now, it's not like a fireable offense, although every other team that passed on Patrick Mahomes, the coach and GM have been fired by now. Every other team. So it is kind of a fireable offense. But at the same time, it's not like Mahomes went third and you took him second. A lot of people thought Trubisky was better. I thought Trubisky was better. A lot of people thought Watson was better. But he went 11th. It's not like he was a 6th round pick. He went 11th. Sean Payton saw it. Andy Reid saw it. You didn't. And it's just one of those things that, now you got to face that guy twice in the Super Bowl. So like you set up your main rival. It's your fault. Because you weren't interested, because you wanted Kirk Cousins, because you didn't want to do the work and teach him a system, and you went to Texas Tech, and it was too much. Although Sean Payton was in, Andy Reid was in, you weren't. So that puts you in a hole. But despite that original sin of passing on Mahomes and letting the Chiefs get him, you somehow get to the Super Bowl 2 years later against Mahomes, and you're doing it with freaking Jimmy G, who sucks. You know he sucks. You went to the NFC Championship game. You took the game out of his hands. You called 8 passes. You won in spite of him. You knew he sucks. And then you went to the Super Bowl. And it wasn't Jimmy's fault that they lost. It was Kyle's fault. They were winning. He stopped running the ball. Debo was killing it. Raheem Mostert was killing it. You went away from them. You put the game in Jimmy's hands, which was incredible because you wouldn't do that in the NFC Championship game. He blew it. You lost. Defense was gassed. Gave up a bunch of points. You got destroyed in the fourth quarter. You lose. A game you should have won. And it's like, okay, happens. They could have lost that Super Bowl and still gone on to be a dynasty. Because coming off that loss, you should have known what Jimmy was. Like, if the Seahawks have a game in a week, like the Niners did against the Chiefs, where they're up late and then they completely fold, and Drake May goes for 21 points in the fourth quarter, and Sam Darnold sucks. You don't think they might pivot away to a different quarterback in like a month? They might. So that's what happened to the Niners. Jimmy G fell on his face, and Kyle fell on his face. And then, in spite of all that, Tom Brady, who's getting pushed out by Bill Belichick, the non-Hall of Famer that he is, we'll talk about that in a minute. Belichick's pushing this guy out because he thinks he can do it without Brady. So Brady's like, hey man, I can't really play for New England anymore. They think I'm washed. I'm from the Bay. I kind of like what you got going on over there, even though you just tricked off a Super Bowl. I think I'd like to play for you and help you get over the hump. And Kyle's like, I think you're washed too. We're going to stick with Jimmy. One of the worst all-time decisions. And so they stuck with Jimmy, who still sucked. Like, you knew that. And he got hurt. And Tom Brady immediately won the Super Bowl with the Bucs, who didn't have as good of a team as the Niners on paper. It was close. But the Niners were literally in the Super Bowl without Tom Brady. You add him to that team. I'm thinking the next year they win instead of Tampa. I'm just saying. But no, you stuck with Jimmy. And then the next year you're like, all right, okay, now we don't like Jimmy anymore. Now we're making a change. And it's like, all right, well, Stafford's available. And they're like, we got to think about that one. And the Rams are like, okay, we don't. We're going to get Stafford. And then I was like, damn, we should have done that. You know what? Let's do the next best thing. Let's trade for Deshaun Watson. And then 800 allegations later, they're like, damn. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go to plan C. Is Aaron Rodgers available? And the Packers are like, no. And they're like, oh, damn. They're like, all right. What are we going to do? Let's trade up to the 3rd pick in the draft and then figure out who we want. Do you guys like that? You like that? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. They trade up to number 3. They have no idea who they want. Rumors are Kyle wanted Mac Jones, who would have been available before them trading up. They take Trey Lance. It's the worst pick in franchise history. They give away 3 first-round picks in the 3rd. That's why they're so kind of mediocre right now, because of that trade. But in spite of that, they save it all the next year in 2026 by trading for Christian McCaffrey and drafting Brock Purdy. Just like a gift from the football gods that they didn't deserve because of all their football sins. And yet they give them another opportunity. You missed on freaking Brady. You missed on Stafford. It's okay. Here's little Peter Pan over here who's excellent, and Christian McCaffrey, who's like the greatest player you've had since Jerry Rice, or one of them. Go forth and win a Super Bowl. And then, Brock Purdy, terrible, his arm gets mangled, but they go back the next year. They have the best team in the league by far. They have 9 of the top 100 players in the league. You're going up against a frumpy Chiefs team that the next year would get absolutely emasculated by the Eagles. And you lose. You freaking lose again to a team with no Tyreek Hill. Old Travis Kelce. And you lose again with a lead in the second half when you stop running the ball. Jake Moody missed a freaking extra point. He was on the team. Had you just not had Jake Moody, you might have won that Super Bowl. Had you just known the rule in overtime, you might have won that Super Bowl. That might have been the most talented team to not win a Super Bowl. Top 5. I mean, the Patriots had one. It's up there. And then you lose the Super Bowl. And instead of it's like we did this last time. Instead of going like all in with this quarterback who just lost the Super Bowl, maybe we just keep our options open. Maybe we trade the guy who lost the Super Bowl. Maybe we trade the guy, get a bunch of first-round picks, and pivot to someone cheaper. Imagine if they had traded Jimmy Garoppolo after he lost the Super Bowl in 2019. That could have been the move that put him over the hump. Trade Jimmy for what was he worth back then? 2 firsts? 3? I don't know. People thought he was good. Get Brady, and then you're good. Trade Brock, keep Darnold, and you're good. No, you let Darnold go. You keep Brock. You go 6-11. Then you give him money. Incredible. Now Darnold's about to win the Super Bowl, and you're about to trade Mac Jones. And with your luck, he's going to win a Super Bowl before you will too. So the Niners have been very generous in setting up other teams. You set up the Rams. McVay would not be a champion without the Rams. Not only did you give Stafford to the Rams, but then you gave up a 10-point lead in the NFC Championship game to Stafford and McVay so they could win it. That was generous. If it wasn't for Kyle, Andy Reid would still be the choker who has gotten close a lot of times and won one Super Bowl over his former team. That the only reason people think Andy Reid's among the all-time greats is because of Kyle. Otherwise, he'd be the same guy he was in Philly. So what the Niners accomplished, if you look at it one way, it's kind of impressive how close they've been for 10 years. And if you look at it another way, it's kind of depressing what they squandered. And we're thinking all right, well, how many more years before they figure it out again? They had their shot. They had their team. Now they have to build another one. Can they? Just because they built the one doesn't mean they can build another one. I mean, there was a lot of luck that went into the first one, right? The 5th round tight end, the 7th round quarterback, the Washington franchise, giving Trent Williams cancer or whatever happened over there, and the Niners getting him for a 3rd round pick. A lot of things had to break the Niners' way. Hey, but now they could get Jim Schwartz. Take some supers. Super time. Jonathan something says, are there any rumblings for players you actually think SF would consider trading for this offseason? What I've heard is Jordan Addison. The Niners seem to be like real intent on improving their wide receiver group, which is fine, but like I think the offensive line is a lot more important in their running game. Suki Pazuki says, are injuries constant due to the scheme? Nah, it's because of the EMFs. Didn't you hear? No, for real. I'm going to interview a scientist a week from yesterday, 6 days, Tuesday. Stay tuned. I'm also going to be participating in a pro-am shotgun golf tournament a week from Friday, and Jerry Rice is going to be there. I'm going to be in that at TPC Harding. Let's go. Suki Pazuki, member for 47 months. Thank you. Dimitar Dimitrov says Omar Cooper Jr. is the new Debo from IU. All right, man. Fine. Debo is cool. Sir Molly Mall says Xavier Harris DT from Ole Miss, 6'8", 330, paired with Collins can be Buckner and Armstead again. Add Chubb from Miami are moves to make the front seven great again. Make the front seven great again. I love that. All day, every day. Kim says, Grant, why is Brock always getting a pass? If I'm not mistaken, he has the 7th largest contract in the NFL. Shouldn't he be able to carry the franchise? I mean, I was talking about this with my friend Kevin. They were playing golf. Like, it's the same situation with the Packers and the Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys are spending all this money on Dak Prescott. Is he really good? Yeah. Is he better than Sam Darnold? Yeah. Would I rather have Sam Darnold on his contract than Dak Prescott on his? Yeah, not even a question. It's really hard to put together a good team around. You can't. It's just you can't. When you're spending that much money on a quarterback, he either doesn't have the weapons or he doesn't have the defense. It's one or the other. For the Chiefs, like, they have Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback maybe of all time, one of them. They gave him this money. All of a sudden, bye-bye Tyreek Hill, bye-bye explosive offense. Defense was still good, but the offense has stunk for years. Why? Because of his contract, and he's the best. So why would it be any different with the Packers and Dak, the Niners and Brock, the Packers and Jordan Love, the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence? I mean, all these contracts are basically bad. And you're asking a quarterback to make up for something that he really can't, especially when you have quarterbacks like Darnold who are really good on teams that are freaking loaded. That's why I'm against it. That's why I'm against paying, even if it's like Josh Allen, even if it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I guess you make the exception for Patrick Mahomes, but like all the money that the Bills have paid Josh Allen, they haven't even gotten to a Super Bowl yet, and their roster's trash. If they could draft better, it wouldn't be an issue, but no one drafts that well. No one even hits 500 in the draft. Nick H says Super Bowl teams avoiding the substation is a bad look. Well, they were never gonna. I'm trying to find words. They did this Super Bowl thing at Levi's 10 years ago. I know you guys might have been young, but no one practiced at Levi's before the Super Bowl when they hosted it there. It was the same thing. But yeah, it is a bad look, and they're going to have to answer for it.